without any further ado, I would like to introduce Bart from 10 Square Games, our first speaker, and our superstar session up, who's going to be opening this track and talking about, well, keeping the culture that drives your growth. So for 10 Square Games, looking at how they went from 10 square meters to 1800. Bart, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect. How are you?
Great. And you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, nice weather here for once. Whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in Wrocław, Poland, and the same here. The weather is great.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, that's really good. And yeah, so what time must it be? It must be about 4 o'clock your time.
It's 3 p.m. to be
3
honest.
p.m. Well, nearly there. I was close, but yeah, so a good time. And yeah, hope you're looking forward to opening.
Yep.
What is the final track? So our big one of our big showcases.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thank you. So I will leave it to you. I'm going to be here in the background if you need anything on
Great.
mute. But for now, over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start. You can't maintain a startup culture in a fast-growing organization. You can't. It's impossible. At a certain stage of development, you need to increase the number of processes, and communication is not as simple as it was before. So don't tell me that keeping the environment that values creative problem solving, open communication, and a flat hierarchy is possible where your company is growing. How many times did you hear something similar? In my opinion, it's a myth. My name is Bartłomiej Zabłocki, and I'm project manager at 10 Square Games. And to be honest, if you think that it's really impossible, hang up now, because this speech won't be for you. But if you think it's possible, stay with me and listen to this story, where we will talk about the space, independent teams, culture fit, recognition, and open doors. So scaling up your business is a good thing. It means you're growing and thriving. It means greater opportunities, not just for you, but also for the teams. It means that you will be able to do more for your players. And while you long to grow your business, you may find yourself nostalgic for, let's say, the old days, when things were smaller, more intimate, and your core values and culture were more ingrained in a daily life of your company. At TSG, we had, and to be honest, I'm not afraid to say, we still have this type of challenge. And of course, I will not give you a golden mean. I do not have solutions for everything what can happen. But I would like to introduce you some points, thoughts, ideas, and solutions that we've taken to keep the team spirit as we grow and make working at TSG a space for everyone. So coming back to the history, 10 Square Games was founded in 2011 in Wrocław, Poland, with a mission of experimenting with a 3D game ideas targeted at social web. What started out as a 3-person project in a 10 square meter apartment quickly developed into a company with nearly 300 people on board that serve millions active players. And to be honest, I think if I remember correctly, in April this year, our daily active user rank in Fishing Clash reached 1 million. 1 million users played our game during the day. That's huge. And one of the biggest challenges that we set ourselves in recent years was to create a place where everyone can feel themselves, will have space for development, and above all, a creative approach to problem solving. And keeping this space, and it was and still is a challenge we take up every day. So without doubt, we have grown. Without doubt, we've grown up. We are one of the 3 largest gaming studios in Poland, and as a company listed on the stock exchange, we focus the eyes of shareholders and investors. We are recognizable. So the space that was initially within 4 walls, 1 game and 1 city has grown to a global size. For example, this year, and only this year, we went globally with 3 games, three new products: Hunting Clash, Solitaires, and Flip This House. And to be honest, it is space, and maybe it's strange as it may seem, that is a component of our DNA, and it has remained the same over the years. So we want to make awesome games, and this is the goal we set ourselves years ago, and this goal is with us every day. And years ago, we also focused on something that completely changed the way we think and we work right now. And to be honest, we focused on independent teams. And this is the first element that I would like to show you and present. But what does actually mean independent team or teams? More or less, teams are the core of the entire company. They are responsible for decision-making process and direction of product development. The management board has a huge credit of trust, and the teams believe that the decisions they make are right. And to be honest, even if it turns out that they were wrong, conclusions are drawn in the retrospective. So the teams are in the middle. Innovation and development are supported. And to be honest, departments such as BI, machine learning, R&D, HR, finance, or even marketing were created for product teams, not the other way around. Teams are in the center. And to be honest, the autonomy of the product teams meant that our work does not require 10 approvals, for example. You know, deciding which direction we are developing a product starts and often ends with one meeting. And do you know why? Because we have a support in what we do. Build amazing teams to create outstanding games. And the example comes from the top. And honestly, it's great to see the changes in the product as the team builds, identifies with the game, and leads it forward. Having a real impact on what the product looks like, a member of the team can change something in the game based on his observation and idea. So if the idea is good and you can defend it, it will be implemented. To summarize what I have just told you, I would sum it up into one sentence. Create a space in which teams have the ability to make decisions and real influence on which direction the game develops. In other words, autonomy in action. The great thing is that we don't close ourselves to the process, and that's what I would like to show you. And if we need to do something in an, let's say, unconventional way and quickly way to test our thesis, we just do it. And a great example is the observation of market trends. In one's time, and it was years ago, we saw a trend in dictionary games where you had to enter the opposite word of what was shown on the screen. And we found that we want to investigate whether this is the case and whether the interest in this type of the game is high and will be higher in the future. So what we did? 2 developers were tasked with creating a similar game in a short period of time. And to be honest, they did that in 2 weeks. And at that stage of our company, they were sitting and testing our thesis in a warehouse because there was no room for them in an open space. And to be honest, at that stage, the open space was a 50 square meter apartment. So you can say that the warehouse was like a private office for them. But nevertheless, what I want to show is that we do not close ourselves to the process. We never had, and we still don't. By creating new games and implementing new ideas, we approach each of them unconventionally and implement them in accordance with our goal. We want to make awesome games. So currently, we have 8 independent teams that, supported by departments, are able to implement visions and adapt to the trends in the market. We all have the same clear picture, and although each team is different and highly independent, we can use skills, seniority, and know how to build and share insights. Of course, it's not like 11 years ago, we knew where we would be, and absolutely not. My point here is that gaming requires free electrons that cannot be shut down and obstructed by processes. This is how we felt, and this is how we feel now. On the other hand, it seems like years ago, we focused on the HR department, and let's say a common sense culture was built on its basis, and that politics never influenced the work environment. And that's not true. We made mistakes. And to be honest, one of the mistakes is to build teams only with people with knowledge, not necessarily matching us and our style of work. What I want to say is to be sure that your new hires aren't just qualified. Make sure they are a good fit. If it's possible, use a team approach when interviewing and make sure they fit in with the people they will be working with on a daily basis. Anyway, it is best seen when we celebrate together. And there is a lot to celebrate. So implementing and keeping the tradition is extremely important for us. When we went public on the Warsaw Stock Exchange, the whole team was invited to participate in this event. And I mean the whole company. We ordered buses and we all went to Warsaw to enjoy and celebrate this moment together. And one day I asked one of the co-founders why they made such a decision. And the answer was short: because it's nature. And after all, we create success together. There is a simple conclusion from this. The goal and the roadmap is one thing, but building a sense of community and cooperation skills means that identification, partnership, and real impact on the product gives space for autonomy in action. Celebrating important moments in the life of the company and the employees means that despite the growth, we feel that our work still has a great atmosphere. We notice each other and we try to keep our work effective and enjoyable despite difficult moments such as now, such as pandemic. And to be honest, here we smoothly move to the next point, which is basically recognition. And to be honest, this should always be a part of your company culture, and it helps foster loyalty and satisfaction among employees. And to be honest, I guess it is. So it basically says to employee that you care. And people in general need recognition and to feel appreciated more than once a year at the Christmas party. Be sure to continue your traditions, no matter how big your business gets. And this is our lessons from the last years. Last months were very hard for everyone. The situation in the world caused our work to change dramatically, and we had to quickly adapt to the situation. It was a challenge, I guess, for you as well. And for example, remote work, no working space in the apartment, children screaming, cats walking in the front of the monitor, and dogs barking at the meetings in the background was and still is the norm. And to be honest, I remember one day, two of my kids ran into the bedroom, to be honest, from which I was conducting a meeting, and they started jumping around on the bed and falling around. And no matter what, I had to adapt. And suddenly, to be honest, that's quite impressive for me, that the agile framework became clear and transparent for everyone as never before. And what is interesting, efficiency has not dropped at all. It has grown. And it was, to be honest, appreciated. And I mean that the effort that each of us put in the last few months was so great that the whole office takes 3 extra days off, and we will recharge the batteries at the end of the summer. And to be honest, it was not a bottom-up initiative. It was not that the people came, to the management and say, hey, we would like to have a day off because we are tired. No, it was the board's decision. And what I want to say here is it's not another, external motivation that the company is pursuing to enrich its employees. It is awareness of situations, adaptation, but also a sincere perspective of the way we work. One sure way to lose that feel and culture is stop getting feedback from employees. Maintaining an open door policy helps your business stay grounded. And to be honest, those are not pathetic fake statements because our office doesn't have many doors, to be honest. But open feedback is actually an element of the foundation I mentioned before, which is space and independence in teams. We like to experiment. We're already a company with a know-how, with tools and specialists involved in game development. We also have a fresh look that, as we are willing to experiment with new models, such as our new Warsaw studio. And the office hub and spoke concept, of course, is nothing new. The structure created with spokes is flat and organic. The mission is to explore, innovate, and bring value to the hub. The idea is to have partners instead of employees and to keep the player in the center of the universe. So we want to think out of the box to be at the top. We are not scared of experiments because we believe in our assumptions. It's like, to be honest, when someone is asking us about the M&A process, so the answer is simple. Yes, we are looking for partners and cultural fit to our organization. Of course, we want to build scale and have an access to the new talent pool, but it does not mean that we will make decisions based just on the money. It's not what made us in the place where we are right now. It is not coincidence, to be honest, that the title of my speech is focused on space. And space and freedom is the piece of the puzzle that gives me a personal sense of fulfillment and certainty that I'm in a place that respects me and my ideas. And nothing is more empowering than learning through experience. So with this opportunity, you have inner peace, which allows you to develop the product and better game. Just go and do. I mentioned a lot today about space because it is our foundation. I mentioned also about the support. For example, employee fit, traditions, recognitions, or open communication and feedback. And those are tools which I guess you all know. And we can implement them all. But in my opinion, what you really need is freedom and fulfillment. So the hierarchy of needs makes it quite clear that creative activities and achievables one's full potential is at the top. So therefore, with the assumptions of building the environment in which you want to work, it can be clearly noticed that working in such a company becomes a pleasure. And to be honest, I said this to you not as the guy from management. I say this as a person who feels good in such an environment and has been in 10 Square Games since February this year. The change that I made at the beginning of the year was undoubtedly an important change in my career. But I must admit, and to be honest, if I would not feel where we are or who we are or what the company is and where we are going, I will not be here and I will not be talking to you. If you have strong organizational culture based on independent teams, your employees will be your ambassadors. That's basically from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a fascinating talk, Bart. Thank you very much. We've got a bit of time and an awful lot of questions. So I will say to those who've asked questions, if we don't get through them all, I do apologise, but obviously there'll be the Discord. But let's dive into some of them, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
What the first question that came in is keeping the small team mindset important when growing the team?
Of course, yes. And it's quite challenging to, of course, keep the small teams when your company is growing. And for example, you need more technical, more experts. So, for example, one of our project and one of our team has almost 40 people. So that's huge. But to be honest, as we are divided in some kind of logical streams, it doesn't mean that we can't keep the culture and we can't keep the work as it was before. Of course, it's hard and you need some kind of additional tools and additional energy to do that. But nevertheless, I think it's possible.
Yeah. That's great. I thought I had two that were similar, but we'll touch on this one that's at the bottom. In your opinion, what are the symptoms of a company suffering from bad policies?
I think that the first one is that the people are just leaving.
Yeah.
And, that's basically my opinion. And we've got the people who are with us from the whole beginning. And to be honest, as I said, I joined the TSG in February this year. So I'm still quite new, but I would like to be here because this is, the values which we have. And for example, the way how we work and the people that were at the beginning of the company are still with us. So that's great.
Yeah. Someone else has asked, how do you do the matches between team members and how do you deal with negative behaviors inside the team? So basically, like, how do you work out which members are going to work well together when creating the teams and avoid conflict?
Well, to be honest, usually it comes, as I said, to be honest, also in my speech, is the experiments. And it's not like, oh, this guy won't gonna talk with this guy, for example. We just try to match them because, of course, the competency, technology competency, it's important here, but also that the focus on the product and the way we are going, it's more important than some kind of personal fights, let's say. So of course it's challenging and it's easy to say, it's harder to to do,
totally.
But more or less it's something like that.
Yeah, definitely. One here, we've touched on some of these issues over the course of the show, such as psychology, mental health, and those sorts of things. And I think it's very pertinent to industry visions and values, the values specifically. And so someone's asked, how do you deal with mental health issues in the company? Obviously, we've learned about, crunch has become a big topic, things like that, people on burnout. How do you deal with making sure that people are well mentally as well as physically?
Of course. So first of all, it's just what I said also is an open communication and feedback, and of course the open door policy. And I mean that we can talk about everything. And I say that because I also know that I can go to the co-founders of the company and just talk about where we are going, what is the goal, for this year, and how we're going to expand, and so on and so on. So basically, that's the first step. And the second is, for example, the situation right now, for example, the pandemic, the way how, for example, right now we are online rather than being, for example, Helsinki. So the thing is that at the beginning, of the pandemic, we decided to have some kind of psychology support, external support. And if someone is willing to do that, you can do this anonymously. So that's, for example, the way how we deal with the situation like that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was actually going to ask you about COVID, and since you brought it up, I thought I wanted to know as well. Would you say that the experimentation you've done on the team front, also that greater autonomy and trust, do you think that put you guys in a good position going into COVID? So it definitely helped.
Exactly, because our work was strictly related to, of course, the Slack, the communication, the way how we work in the in the office. But I think it was in March, there was a decision, okay, we need to close down, we go home, and we're going to work remotely. And that was something new for us. Even if we had the ability to work remotely, there was nothing like the whole company is going remotely. So how is it going to happen? And of course, with the teams. And as I said, also we launched 3 games globally this year. So basically, we did quite a strong and big events in our company during the pandemic situation, of course, the COVID. So we had to adapt, and I think that based on that we are still together, I think we did it.
Yeah, definitely. Sort of someone else has asked, I suppose it's getting into a little bit more depth, is beside autonomy in action, do you also give like proprietary power to your teams? So basically, are we, beyond the autonomy, how far does that go? How much decision-making power do teams have? At what point does it become the collaborative process with management, and at what point are they allowed to run by themselves?
Of course. The vision of the product is, of course, we got a product owner, for example, who set up the long goals, but nevertheless, those goals are set, and of course, we've got a roadmap, but nevertheless, decisions made in the roadmap and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do, that's all based on the teams. And of course, I said that if you've got a good idea and you believe in it, and you've got, so for example, some business reasons or some kind of thoughts that it's going to happen or it's going to work, it's going to be implemented, but need to have strong arguments to do that, of course. So it's not like we're going and saying, okay, we're going to do this way, but we are listening to the team. So it's always a talk. We always talk about, for example, the roadmap, where we're going to go and how the team feels that. Maybe they've got some kind of different idea.
Yeah, well, fantastic. We nearly got through every single question as well. And I think, to be honest, we touched on near enough all of the issues as well. So yeah, thank you so much. I mean, not just for the talk, but, thank you to the whole team for helping to support Pocket Gamer Connect's Digital Helsinki and for making it happen as one of our gold sponsors. So thank you so much for that as well. It's thanks to you guys and all of our other great sponsors and speakers like yourself that we can put this show on and share this knowledge and keep things going in an awkward time.
Exactly. That's the point. So thank you, of course, thank you very much for letting me be here.
Oh no, thank you for being here. It was a fascinating talk, and hopefully everyone else learned as much as I did. So yes, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your the rest of your day. Maybe check out some of the talks or get on the meet to match.
Definitely, I will do that.
Relax.
Relax now. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much, Bart. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.